Hello and welcome to another video. Today we have my fifth Proxmox server that we're going to be installing at the data center. In this video, I'm going to take you through the process start to finish of how I'm adding this to my data center cluster. So kind of a little bit of background, I have a high availability cluster at the data center with Proxmox, and I want to add another server without taking anything offline. So I'm going to show you the process of pretty much how I do that from the moment I get the server, which is the condition that it's in now, to the moment where I actually deploy the server at the data center. So first of all, what I'm going to do is take out these 3 drive slots, and I'm going to add the 3 SSDs. I have some Dell SSDs here that I got from serverpartdeals.com. I'm going to put them in order, so 210, 211, and 212. That's the asset tag number that I have. I have an inventory management software that is called Snipe, and I run that in Docker. And I'm going to keep track of everything I do in this video on Snipe. That way I know exactly where every single SSD is, where every server is, etc. So I have these SSDs installed. You'll notice I do actually have 3 more SSDs, and that is because I'm going to be adding these to other servers at the data center once we go there. So I'm gonna have a couple trays for those as well. I've got a couple trays as well that we can use to put the SSDs on, but that should be pretty much it for that. Also, this tray may be familiar to you if you've seen another video I have where I upgrade the RAM in a lot of my servers. I don't know if that video is posted yet, although it should be soon. Essentially, I'm upgrading a lot of my servers from 64 to 128 gigabytes of RAM, and that will be completed eventually once I get this one installed, because I need a little bit more oomph in my cluster to be able to shut everything down. So right now, if I do shut down a host, it does take down Ceph partially, and I don't want to have to deal with downtime, so I'm adding 3 OSDs here, and I will be adding these extra 3 SSDs as well into the Ceph cluster to grow the cluster and to reduce any potential downtime. Ideally, in an ideal world, it'd be really cool if I could take down 2 hosts at a time. I currently have 4 hosts in my Proxmox cluster. This will be the 5th, so it'd be kind of sweet if I could do 2 hosts offline at a time. Or if I don't need all the resources from the 5th node, if I could shut that down actually and kind of conserve power, I would prefer to do that. So I will use an Ethernet cable from my wall jacks that I have to plug into the server. That way I can make sure iDRAC is set up. Pretty much once iDRAC is set up, as long as it has iDRAC Enterprise, I should be able to remotely manage it from my computer, allowing me to set it up without a monitor. So that is pretty big. It's really nice when it does have Enterprise iDRAC, but I'm honestly not quite sure if it does or not. So that will be something we find out at some point in this video. The next thing I'm going to do is plug the server into power. That way I can actually boot the server up, and then I can log into iDRAC. So really, you'll notice all I'm doing right now is pretty much just making sure iDRAC is set up, because once iDRAC is set up, that will allow me to remotely manage it from a computer. So that will essentially reduce the need for me to actually get a monitor or a crash card at the data center, and it will kind of just make things a little bit easier for me. The last thing I'm going to do is plug in a VGA cable to the server. That way I'm able to watch on the screen over here kind of what it's doing. And sometimes it's faster to pull up the iDRAC IP through a screen. So I plug the server in, and we're going to let it boot up. I'm going to grab the secondary power cable I have for it and also plug that in. It does not sound like the server has booted up yet, so we're going to go to the front and hit the power button to boot the server. I am probably just going to end up setting up the BIOS of the server right here, just because I've got it booted up, and I might as well. It'll save me some time. So I'm going to go through and make sure virtualization is enabled, make sure the RAID card is in the pass-through mode, and check the iDRAC MAC address and IP. That way I can go into my data center router and set that as a static IP. All right, so I'm just now leaving the data center. I was somewhat mildly unsuccessful today. I got Proxmox installed through a USB disk. I had to download the ISO when I was actually there. So it's a little disappointing. I didn't get the server actually up and running today. I forgot the boot SSD that I want to use. Technically, I did have a 1 terabyte SSD with me, but I really don't want to sacrifice a nice 1 terabyte SSD for this project, for this boot drive at least. So I'm going to have to go back home, come back another day, finish up this project, but that's okay, because I actually had to order a C13 to C14 power cord, because I actually did not have that until I ordered it earlier. So I didn't have any extras at my house, so had to get some more, which is also mildly unfortunate, but it is what it is. So I'm gonna come back another day, finish this video off, and let's just jump ahead to tomorrow. or Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know when. So just for fun, here is a clip of me trying to set up Proxmox version 8.3. This is what I mentioned with the wrong ISO I downloaded. But again, this was also on the 1TB disk, and I did not want to use the 1TB SSD, so this is a waste of time, so I'm going to keep it quick. That'll let us pull up the shell of the server, and we're going to run the post install script, which will literally go through. It says requires Proxmox version 8 or later. It is now Thursday. I am headed back to the data center. Unfortunately, like I said in the previous clip, I did not have the SSD that would be ideal for this project, so I'm now heading back. It is a couple days later, and we're going to go install the correct SSD, I guess the one that I want it to be. And it should be a pretty quick trip. I also have some new C13 to C14 power cords that I brought with me that we're going to install as well, because I did not have enough power cords last time either. Same for DAC cables. I also ordered some extra DAC cables, so I got it all in my backpack. We're about to take it into the data center and hook everything up. We should be good to go. So let's take a look. Let's get in. Let's get her done. This data center trip was extremely successful this time. I was able to get the host installed, and I remotely set it up through iDRAC. I installed Proxmox version 8.1, ran the Proxmox helper script for the post install, and now we are back into present day, and let's take a look at the final results. Okay, so I have now finally gone to the data center and installed the correct SSD, and I have the host fired up inside of Proxmox. So I've added it into the cluster, and my Proxmox cluster at the data center now has 192 CPU cores, or I guess that's combined with threads, 439 gigabytes of memory, and supposedly 119 terabytes. I don't think that's right. I think it's about half that, about 60 something terabytes. And that is about my total capacity. So most of my servers are sitting about 40% memory usage. The new one is about 18% memory usage, just because I'm not really using it much yet. But that is pretty much where we are. I'm excited to have this host in my cluster, and hopefully I can get some added reliability benefits from it, and have some extra capacity for virtual machines as well. So that is about all for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I want to thank you for watching. Have a great day, and I will see you all in the next video.